A few months ago I picked up this American Tactical, or ATI M1911. This got the full 5-inch barrel, and it's a replica of the 1911 A1. And by and large I've been really happy with this. The only thing I've had to do to it is work this edge down because it was digging into the hand a bit. Had a couple extraction issues, and so pulled the extractor out, gave it a little bit of a bend, and that part seems to be working just fine. But occasionally I'm having a few problems where the bullet doesn't fully go into battery. The slide will cycle, and I'll go to pull the trigger, nothing happens, and I'll look and the slide's about that far out of battery. And I got to looking at feedback from other people that have these, and they all say they're great guns, but I've seen a couple complaints about springs. You should replace the springs, they say. And most of my issues going into battery are rounds that I've got loaded on the warmer side. I've got some 225 grain bullets. I've got shooting about 750 feet per second. Most of those seem to be feeding just fine. I've got some loaded about 850 feet per second, and by and large those seem to be doing well as well. But some of my bullets I've got feeding at about 930 feet per second seem to be causing most of my failures to go into battery. So that's when I decided to go ahead and order some Wolff Springs. I've had other Wolff Springs and I've been happy with them before for other firearms. And this one is for the 1911, 1911 A1 and a couple others. And this is the what they call extra power. It's an 18.5 pound spring. Now I've printed this from the Wolff website. I'll put a link to this in the video description below. But this says here that the recoil springs all ship with an extra power firing pin spring. I didn't realize that when I ordered it. And so it says here that the here it is, the factory standard is 16 pounds. Is this a 16-pound spring? I don't know, but it probably. And so I ordered an 18.5. It listed at $7.89, which is what it cost me. I paid, I think, about $4 shipping and handling, so it was just under $12. And when I got this, I noticed there were two springs in here, and I went back and I looked at the Wolff site and I found that it came with the firing pin spring. And the description later on, you can buy those separate. The description of those indicate that they're a must in Colts prior to the inclusion of the firing pin safety mechanism, and they're highly recommended in all pistols. And so really I'm thinking that means anything Series 70, which this is, and they recommend really anything. Go ahead and put this extra power firing pin spring in. So I'm going to go ahead and put both springs in. Now I'm hoping the slightly heavier spring will keep wear and tear down on the gun a little bit for the heavier rounds. Keep the slide from hammering back so hard, and then we'll have an easier time putting those heavier rounds fully into battery. The one concern that I have, and it's not a major concern, but the one thing I'm curious about is if the lighter rounds, the ones at about 750 feet per second, if this spring will be too much for that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot the rounds at 750, the rounds at 850, and the rounds at about 930, all with the old spring and with the new spring, and see if I can tell a difference in feel, as well as see if there's any difference with the number of rounds that don't go into battery, which hopefully will be zero with the new spring. Now the extra power firing pin spring, I'm going to go ahead and put that in now and just leave that in there. So here's the spring that was in the 1911, and this is the one from Wolff. It looks like the Wolff spring has more coils to it, and they're about the same length. Now here are the two recoil springs. This is the one that came in the firearm, and this is the Wolff. On the Wolff spring, it's got an open end, which I assume goes towards the front of the firearm. The one that's coming out of the ATI, either end is the same and just slips on and off. With the Wolff spring, I notice it's a lot tighter fit. But I'm going to go ahead and leave the old spring in for now. We'll test some rounds with that. Then we'll test some the same rounds with the new recoil spring and see what difference it makes. Well, that worked out really well. So is this worth the almost $12 after shipping and everything? I think it is. So no problems at all today with ejection, extraction, feeding, going fully into battery. Every shot fired worked as it should with both the old and the new spring. I can tell a difference though with the new spring, especially with the heavier rounds. Little less recoil perceived by me as that slide recoil is back. And I was happy that the spring seemed to handle the light rounds just fine as well. I was looking to see if it made much difference where the brass landed when it was ejected, and it was hard to tell. I think I still need to mess with, or I need to start messing with my ejector a little bit. But that's a minor issue. Everything's ejecting. I just need to tune that a little bit probably. I can tell the difference pulling the slide back between the old spring and the new. This is definitely a little bit stiffer, which is just fine. That's what I was hoping for. And I'm very happy that I ordered these springs. I think now I've got my loads worked up. I've got the gun shooting how I want it. And it seems to be working well. So, thank you for watching. And God bless.